Welcome back to Tutorial Tidbits and welcome to my channel. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire, and this week I have a simple but fun collage project for you. And it is a way to use up some of your gel printed papers, maybe some scraps and small pieces. It is a postcard of a fish to send through the mail and bring joy to everyone who sees it along the way. So if you've got a few minutes, let's go check it out. For today's project, I am using my aquatic life themed rice paper that I tore a small piece of, a larger sheet, and I'm going to mount that to a tag that is a cardstock. This is a nice tag stock. It's got some hemp fibers in it, but it's basically white. It's smooth and sturdy and will not buckle when I glue things to it. And I drew a cute little whimsical fish, and I wanted to make this into a card, but instead of making it into a card in an envelope, I thought I would send it as a postcard. So for a piece of cardstock this big, you would use a regular size stamp. I mean a regular stamp, not a postcard stamp. So regular postage like you would for an envelope. And I thought this could be fun just to send through the mail, to bring a little art to everyone who passes it along the way. So the postmen and the sorting people and the people that get to see it on the way to whomever the recipient is. It may get a little beat up going through the post that way, but so I'm just going to have fun with it and make it sort of a quick project. I'm not going to make it like a beautiful finished piece of art and then send it through the post because if I was going to do that, I would definitely put it in an envelope. But I thought I would make something to bring joy to a lot of people along the way, the process. Okay, so I'm using matte medium so that my papers don't get too shiny. Since I'm not going to varnish this like I varnish my regular artwork and dull back the shine, I'm going to use matte medium. And I'm just going to apply the matte medium directly to the tag on the left-hand side. That's where I'm going to put my aquatic design rice paper. So I'm just going to put a thin layer here all the way down. You have to work kind of quickly because this stuff wants to dry fast. And I'm going to lay the rice paper right into that, sort of centered in this area. And then I'm going to put I'm using the Princeton Catalyst number 8 filbert brush. It's rigid bristle. It's really springy and rigid, and that's what allows me to press down and really smooth out all the wrinkles in this paper. The bigger sheet of paper that you do, the more likely you are to get wrinkles. If you tear it up into smaller pieces like this and you glue those down, you're going to have less issue with wrinkling. And this is a rice paper, so it's very absorbent. So as long as you smooth out and make sure you have a good amount of glue underneath everything, and smooth it with this brush, it should lay flat no problem because the rice paper is so absorbent. It allows the glue to absorb in and go down to the paper. Okay, so I've got that down. Now the next step is I wanted to make sort of like a whimsical fun fish with my collage paper. So I drew out a little sketch of a whimsical fun fish, and I figured he would be the right size to go over this. So I'm just going to cut him out so I can use him as a pattern. And you can see that he's pretty graphic and simple. So I'm going to use him as a pattern, and then I'm going to collage this little guy in some of my hand-painted rice papers or my hand-painted gel-printed papers. So this is another thing you can use your gel prints for that is not as involved as my normal style of collage. Let's see, it could go really long with that tail. I have a little room. So it's a little more, it's a simplified version of my more involved collage. So I'm gonna grab a drawer of blue papers. So I divide all my gel printed papers in drawers according to color. So I've got the blue drawer, and the first thing I'm going to do is get some dark blue that I think would go well with this. And how about something like this? That's very watery. So that could be the main body of the fish. So let's cut the pieces and parts apart. So here's the top. Let's slide this out of the way. Here's the top fin. We're going to do the body first. Here's the head. and the tail. And then I've got this fin, so I'm just gonna cut this in, and I'll just use my pattern this way. So I've got my pieces and parts of my fish, and I'm gonna get my, the wiggly lines that I created on the gel plate. I'm gonna use that for the body, and I'm gonna do that up here where the top half of it is not wiggly and the bottom half of it is, so we get a little bit of both. And then I'm just gonna hold that there with my thumb, and I'm going to, let's get it right along the, close to the front edge. So I'm gonna cut along here, and then I'm just gonna cut here, front, and here's the body. So I've got the body. Now I'm gonna do the tail. So I've got my pattern piece for the tail. I'm gonna pick a different paper. I've got a nice deli paper here. That's plain and it matches the colors in here. I like that. So I'm going to put this, oh, I wonder if I could get it over some of the translucency would be kind of interesting. So let's lay it over some of the part where it's translucent. Maybe in here where it's translucent like that. That could be kind of interesting. Actually, the translucency of it over that fish pattern may be interesting for the top fin because the back fin mostly goes over the blank. So if the back fin mostly goes over the blank edge of this tag, the translucency would be interesting over on the top where we're going to see it. So let's use this. Let's switch gears and use this for the top fin in the area of the deli paper where it's translucent so we can see some of the rice paper aquatic design below it. So I'm gonna just hold this and cut it. And follow my pattern. And that'll be my top fin. So that's gonna be my top fin. That's gonna go over the background paper. So we'll put that here. And then the next element is the tail. So I like the idea of sort of a plain restful paper for the tail. So how about something like this? This has got a little gold on it. It's our favorite rice paper. It's sturdy and it'll glue down nicely. This is an old book page and this is a deli paper. So here's our favorite rice paper. So let's line the tail up on that. What's the nice thing about doing the sketch and having the pattern is you can just follow it. So there's the tail of this whimsical fish. It might be a little long and heavy compared to the body, even though I wanted to make it bigger. So I'm going to make it a little narrower so it's not quite so heavy. I think that looks better. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, put that tail pattern piece aside, and then I've got the head like this, which might look nice with a dark paper, a dark blue that maybe goes well with the blue aquatic background. So here again is a nice piece of rice paper with the color bled all the way through. So I'll put that will be the head. I'm going to line it up right here on the bottom. It'll give me some interesting variation. I'm going to even take advantage of that torn edge and bring this down. This is a fun project to do with some of your scrap papers, your scrap gel printed papers if you have little pieces. So that's here. That's along with its rough along the top edge. It comes up a little too high, so I'm going to trim that. And that's going to go right here. Then we have the eye. So now that I've cut the head piece, I can destroy that and cut out the eye, unless you want to just wing the eye. But this will give me a good idea of the size that it needs to be according to my sketch. And actually, it would be pretty cool on white. So I never used pure plain white. So I'm going to grab a piece of the back of the body paper that's got the text on it. And I'm going to put it halfway over that and halfway over the plain white. And I'm going to cut that along the pattern. So again, I'm just holding it and following along. And then that eye is like half type and half not type, which is really adorable. And then I can come back in with another darker color for the center of the eye. I've got a blob of purple here, but it's pretty thick. So let's find something in here that's dark. Something like that. I'm looking for something dark for some high contrast in there. Or I could go lighter with a different color altogether and make the middle of it this green color. That could be kind of fun. So I'll just work with a small piece and just sort of freeform the center of the eye in this green aqua teal color. It doesn't need to be perfect. This is just for fun. So we'll put that right in the middle. Oh my God, how much fun is that? And then we've got the tail. The thing you can also do with the tail, if you want to, is you could do it in multiple pieces to do separate tail sections. I'm not going to do that. I'm keeping this super simple because I'm sending it through the mail. So now I've got the last part is the fin, and I think a lighter color will stand out against that nicely, and maybe a bit of a more simplified paper. Look at this shiny paper. This is something decorative that I bought in the art supply store. I think that's going to be perfect. So I'm going to lay that in here and then cut along according to the pattern. And you can have fun, make a whole series of these with different fish, which is why it's important to keep it simple so that you don't spend, you know, tons of time on each one of them. There, that is adorable. Don't you think he's adorable? I do. Okay, so now I'm going to bring back in my rice paper design. And the first thing I need to put down is the body, but I have to make sure I make enough room for the tail. So I would say put your tail on there and the body, and then I've got the head. And that'll give me a good idea of where it's going to go. But I need to remember I got to have room at the bottom for the bottom fin and room at the top for the top fin. So I think that's pretty good positioning. I might want to push it a little bit more towards the front. So I'm going to slide these around before I get them down. And okay, so I think the body is going to be the anchor to everything, and I think that's going to go just about right here. So I'm going to keep my finger on that and put some glue underneath so I don't get it out of the spot that I decided I wanted it. So now I'm going to flip it this way and put the glue. And now I'm going to add the glue on top of the collage paper. This will help it to lay down flat. And I'm going to add enough extra for the head. So now I'm going to put the head right here, and I'm leaving a gap between the head and the body. So I get a little bit of rice paper showing through there. Got to make sure I got the glue all the way out here. So what a fun project for your gel printed papers, especially if you're not as well versed in my style of torn paper collage with all the shading and intricacies. And again, since we're sending this through the mail, we don't really want it to be a masterpiece, but it's just going to bring joy to everybody it touches along the way. So I'm going to add the eye here, and I'm going to put the pattern part at the top. Then I'm going to pick up the other piece just by putting it on my paintbrush and setting that in the middle. Again, I'm using matte medium, so it's not super shiny. And then I'm going to add the tail. So I've got my tail here. Leaving a gap between the tail and the body to give, mirror that gap that we have at the front. I like that. It really makes it in sections. It shows it in simple shapes and sections. So brushing the glue over the top of that rice paper to get that to go down flat. And now adding some glue up here and grabbing that top fin. This is the one that was translucent that I thought would be cool. We could see the pattern of the paper behind it. So lining that up with a little gap as well. It's a little, that fish that's behind it is pretty strong, and it's a little hard to see through. Although I love that effect. I might come back and make it a little heavier. If it was in here, it would be great. So if we had kind of coordinated this, because I really do like the translucency of that and the way that it shows the paper underneath. If it was over here, it might be great. But I think that it, just because it's on that heavy fish, I'm not sure. So I'm going to add this fin down at the bottom in that shiny paper. And I think for that one, I might have to come back with something a little more opaque. And since I've already gotten rid of my pattern piece, I think maybe I can add this on top of it with a torn bit. There we go. And it's a little short, so I'm going to grab a little bit more of it. This is problem solving in Collage 101. So I'm going to add that to that there. And now I have a top fin that's more opaque and stands up over the background. Now I think what would be fun for this guy to have some bubbles maybe, but the tail is feeling a little flat. So with some of my scraps here, I think I'm going to add a little piece of this paper to pick up the fin, and I'll put that in the tail once I've got this one down, so I can put a section of that. Oh, I really like that. And into that tail. And I could even put a section of that into the top fin, maybe at the end here, at the tip. That's so fun. And I could put a section of something else that I've got as a scrap in the tail. That's not quite long enough. I had thought about maybe adding some of the rice paper from the background back into the tail, but I think that would be a little visually confusing. It would make it sort of want to disappear. So here's a piece that's too dark. I'm trying to keep the tail a little bit more restful than the body, but it would be fun to add a little something in there. Here's a stripe. This is more rice paper from gel printing, and this is a little line of stripe that I found in the paper here. And I'm going to tear that out and sort of just add that along in here. That looks great. That's fun. Once you have the big main pieces down, you could leave it bold and graphic like that, or you could come in here and sort of add some things on top that are fun and interesting. That's a great pattern right there. That could be fun on the body of him, maybe here. Now I'm getting a little less graphic and a little more painterly by adding some pieces on top like that. And these are just little torn scraps and tidbits that I'm pulling out of my gel paper. Sort of see how this would look. This is kind of fun. This might be good in the tail. It's not too busy, but it's not exactly the color that I'm trying to keep it in the teal. That's dark. So that's the idea generally in creating sort of a fun card. Ooh, this is a good color. I'll put that on the top. How about if I have this poke out a little bit so I get a little fringe edge in my tail? And you want to put the glue over the top. And we could give them a couple of little bubbles. I could take the white, or I could take more of the paper with the text and tear a little circle, or you could cut it. You could also tear all the pieces rather than cutting. You know how I feel about scissors, but I'm trying to make this just sort of simple, cute project. I don't know if that stands out really well as a bubble with the type on it. What if we took the eyeball from the pattern and put that on it? That probably looks better. So then I'll take my pattern paper and cut out another bubble and put that one up here. And I'll do one more. Let's make this one a little smaller. than the others. There we go. We'll put this one up there. We're running out of room. So those are fun. They could also be a solid light blue. They would show up a little better, such as this blue. I could tear a little bubble and put that sort of right here. Yeah, that shows up a little better than the white. Maybe. Let's make a bigger one and overlap that one. Yeah, I think those work better in the pale blue. They have a little more contrast, so I'm gonna just go over the first ones. I'll put that one up on this one. I don't know if I could pull this one up. Yeah, I can still pull. This has got 3 layers on it now. The one with the pattern, the one with the text. The text didn't really stand out, but I think this is big enough to go right over that one. There we go. So now I've got a fish sort of little fun postcard card. And the other thing you could do is once this dries, you could come back in with Posca markers and make some mark making on it. Posca markers are permanent paint pens, and they'll definitely go through the mail without any problem. So here I've got a couple of Posca pens and some fun blues and maybe even a purple. And I could add some more detail on here, like maybe putting some line in the fishtail. I love making dots with these. So little sort of a dot pattern along the front edge. And just kind of adding some more elements to him. Or you could just leave him without any marks, without any collage. I mean, just with collage. Or you could just leave him with just collage and no mark making on top at all. But this can be a kind of a fun way to bring in a little bit more pattern and color. So, and then I'm going to send this to my dad, I think. I'm not sure, but it's important to know on the back side that along the bottom, you need to keep 5/8 of an inch clear of any pattern or design in order to for the post office to sort. So I am going to grab some postcard stamps that I have to sort of make some fun elements on the back. So I've got these vintage post stamp sort of rubber stamps and a nice light blue ink pad. And so I'm going to put a line for my postcard. I'm just going to get a pen here and I'm going to put a line for where I want where the address is going to be. So I'm going to put a line right here. It's not going to go all the way down, but it's just going to go most of the way. So not into the 5/8 inch and just shy of the top. And then I'm going to take this vintage postcard rubber stamp and I'm going to use blue ink because I'm in that blue aquatic theme. So I'm going to put a little blue ink on here and then I'm going to line this up and put it at the top of my line. So I've got a beautiful vintage postcard mark on there. And then I've got some fun little post stamps. So I think I'm going to send this to my dad for Father's Day. So I've got one that is a Massachusetts, I think. Yeah, this is a Massachusetts one, so he'll get a kick out of that. And I'm going to put the blue ink on that and sort of put this on the opposite side. My stamp will be over here, so I'm going to put this over here. There's my Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts cancellation stamp, and I've got a little airmail stamp and some canceled lines. The lines, this is just fun decorating the back. So I'm going to put ink up my cancellation lines. And here I've created a really cute background for my really cute fish postcard, utilizing my gel printed collage papers, a very basic simple fish pattern, and my rice paper aquatic life background. So thank you for being here with me today. I hope that this video will inspire you to send someone special a handmade collage postcard. I'm going to send mine to my dad, and I think he's really going to appreciate it. So please let me know what you think of this postcard, or maybe give me some ideas for other simple imagery that would be fun on a postcard in the comments below. I respond to all the comments, and I definitely appreciate you are taking the time to comment. I also would love for you to subscribe to the channel so that you can join me every Friday. And last but not least, thank you from the bottom of my art heart to my patrons on Patreon, whose support allows me to make these videos every week for free on YouTube. So consider checking me out for in-depth tutorial lessons, multi-part lessons that cover the entire part of my collage process on patreon.com/Elizabeth St. Hilaire. I'll see you right here next week.